Hello, good morning or good afternoon, and thank you for joining this webinar. I am Jerry from ArchiSnapper, and in this webinar of about 30 minutes, I'll try and share as much useful tips and tricks about working with ArchiSnapper. Okay, so let's get started. I'm going to mute just some attendees that joined recently. Okay, so let's get started. Just a quick summary on ArchiSnapper. ArchiSnapper is a Belgian product. We're Belgian based. We released to the market in 2013, and today we have about 10,000 users. And the main functionality of ArchiSnapper is saving time with field reports, punch lists, and construction collaboration. Okay, so here I'm in my online ArchiSnapper account, and I think everybody who joins the webinar knows how to create a project with contacts and documents, so I'm not going to do this right now, but I'm going to take this sample project, test 1, 2, 3. So this is one project, and as you can see here, there are already contacts added to it. 4 contacts. Those are the involved parties in the construction project. And then the next step that we can do is to add documents or floor plans. You see here we have a list of documents, floor plans, PDF documents that we can upload to the project. I have added one floor plan, this one. And when you upload floor plans to your project, they will be available in the app when you're on site for viewing them. But these documents can also be used for adding location pointers or annotations. Okay, and then the next thing that you can do, but this is not mandatory, of course, is to create sections within a project. So I'm here in project test 1, 2, 3, and within this project, I can create sections like units or different areas within the project, and then I can assign observations to those sections. So I'm going to create just a couple of sections, for example, apartment 1, apartment 2, and apartment 3. All right, so that's it. I have one project with contacts for 1 document and 3 sections. And now let's quickly take a look at the categories and checklists. So I'm here in my online account in the categories and checklists. So we can either work with categories, which then typical are the different disciplines, the different trades in a construction project. You can see the trades in my sample account, but every user can manage these trades him or herself, and we can also change the order. And when you change the order, this order will be applied in the field reports and punch lists generated with ArchiSnapper. It's also possible to work with checklists, but I'll come back to it in a minute. Okay, that's it. Let's go to the app now. I'm going to take my app on my tablet. ArchiSnapper is available on all Android and iOS devices and works online and offline. Here we are. This is my my app, and when you tap on the sync button at the right top, the app will sync with the online account, so all projects, contacts, and other data is fetched. And now I'm going to create one report. I'm just going to switch the language to English. Excuse me. All right, here we go. Yes, this is better. So I'm going to create one new report for my test 1, 2, 3 project. So I'm tapping here on new report. And as you know, or as you can see, there are different ways to create a report. You can start from a list of categories. You can start from a checklist, or you can clone the previous report. When you clone the previous report, in fact, what you do is you create a report starting from the previous one. I'm going to start from the list of categories now. I think no one is not muted. I will do it. So
the categories are for or general, eh? Or for all the
yes,
projects. For all the
yes,
projects, eh? Yeah.
for all the projects. Yes, correct. So I'm going to mute everyone. The goal is to let's maybe keep the questions for after the webinar and then take it from there. So I'm going to do the tour now. So I'm here in my app and I'm going to create one field report. So here we have the status, like the project status or the weather conditions. We could, for example, say this is a project that is in the finishing stage, and we can add status pictures. Those pictures are general. They are general pictures for not of a certain issue, but general status pictures. So we can import them from the library or take them with the camera. I'm going to import one from the library now. For example, it doesn't matter, this one. Here we see the contacts. And if we tap on the names of the contacts, they will be marked as present in the contacts table of the report. And here we see the different categories, and now I can start adding items to those categories. So when I tap here on the plus, I can add an item. For example, there is a leak, for example, and I can add different other fields. I will just walk through those fields. None of those fields are mandatory, but and we can also complete the fields afterwards from the online account with the PC, but I'm just going to have a quick overview of the different fields per observation. So we can add a date, for example, by when the issue has to be solved. I can assign it to for example, a subcontractor or a contractor. So assignees here. The status is typically not okay for an item, and I can also add a section. For example, I added three sections online: apartment 1, 2, and 3, and now I can assign a section to an item. So that has been done. I can also add a location on a floor plan. So I uploaded a floor plan to the project. Now I am taking this floor plan and downloading it, and I can tap with my finger to locate the item on that location on the plan. So this item has been located on the plan, and I can also add other items. So it's other locations. So we can add multiple locations for one item. We can also take pictures. I'll just take one photo for this item. Okay. All right. And when you take a picture for an item, you can also sketch on it. So here is a sketch button, and if you tap on it, you can sketch. And in the bottom, you see the different sketch options. And we can also add captions to pictures. So if you tap here to add a comment, we can add text. And text like a caption in Word will be shown in small below the picture. We can also add the descriptions, but as said before, we can also do that afterwards. If we don't want to do this in the field, we can do it with the online account when we're back in the office. But suppose we want to do it with the app on site, and I can tap here on the plus, and I can write text just with the keyboard, or I can use the voice to text functionality. More and more of our users are doing this. It's an extremely efficient way of documenting observations on site. So I'm going to tap on the microphone. There is a leak. Point, new line. Please fix it as soon as possible. New line. Thank you. All right, so this observation or this description has been added. I'm not familiar with the commands in English that well, so I added point, but it has to be something else. But it's a very easy way to speak on site, and the text will roll out. So this will save you a lot of time once you start using it. Okay, so I have added most of the fields for this observation, and I will save it. So this observation is now in the report for this category. If I go here to photos and I tap again on the plus, you will also see there are some other options. So we can import pictures from the library, we can sketch on a white background, or we can draw on a PDF plan. So if I do that, draw on a PDF plan, then I can also zoom in, and here we see an annotation bar. So when I annotate, this will be saved as a picture. So I can also write text here. So we can annotate on the plan, write things, sketch things, use these formatted shapes, and then when we save, we have an annotated, we have a picture of the annotated plan, and the picture will be inserted into the report. Okay, so this is one observation, but there is a second way to add observations by starting from the floor plan. So when I hit here or tap here PDF plan and I open it, I can also add observations from here. So this is the first observation. For example, there is a second observation here, then I can tap here and a second item can be added. For example, here there is an issue with the paint or something like that. I can again fill in all the fields or some of them as we want and go back to the plan. So you can also add observations directly from the floor plan. And then here, if you tap here on the settings icon, you can also filter on the items. For example, only the items with status not okay, and I can directly go to those items. So this is how you add observations directly from the floor plan. I'm back here in my list view, in my report. So I'm going to save this report, and you see the sync button is red, meaning it's still locally on my device, but it has not been synced to the online account yet. I'm doing that right now. I'm uploading the report to the online account. If you go here to field reports, I will see the report. Here it is, and we have different options here. We can edit the report, download it as a PDF, take a look at the floor plan with all the pointers, and send the report. If I take a look at the floor plan with the 2 pointers, I will see the plan, and then I will see 2 location pointers on it. I have to zoom a little bit to view them. Here they are, observation 1.1 and 1.2. Okay, the plan is still rendering, so it's here we go. 2.1 on 2.2, so report 2 item 1 and report 2 item 2. So it's the second report for this project. So this is the floor plan with all the locations on it. And typically most of our users, when they're back in the office, they complete the report with the keyboard on the PC. So by clicking edit report. So here we have the report. You can manage your layout settings. I will go through that in a minute. So we have the project details, we have the date and time of the report, status, text, and picture, the contacts table, people present, and here the observations. So I have 2 items, and as you can see, we can edit everything. So they have a name and a number, the due date, the section, the text that I spoke. I can still correct it. I can import pictures. I can change everything. You can even create reports from scratch with this online environment. Here we see the locations, and zoomed out on the plan and then zoomed in. Okay, and then when we're done editing the report, we can have a preview at the PDF version. So here we go. This is the PDF version of the report. You see the items, the status, the text, the pictures, and the locations. And then the last step would be to send the report to the contacts involved. So I can select all or some of the contacts. The report subject and body is pre-filled based on layout settings, so we don't have to write the email anymore. Between square brackets, we see the variables, and these variables will be filled in with the correct value, project name, the report date, report number. We can also include the floor plan with all items on it, numbered, and we can also add other attachments and then distribute the report. And when we distribute the report, here we have the send history that keeps track of all reports. So here we can always track which report has been distributed to which contact at what point in time. So that was a first simple field report. Now I will go back to the app and I will quickly show you the cloning of a report. So here we go. So just for your info, when you tap here in the left top, we have the cloning settings. You can select what you want to clone. Do you want to clone the pictures or not? Do you want to clone the people present of last visit or not? Do you want to clone the report status or not? And do you want to clone all items or only the not okay items? So only the items that were not okay during the last report. Okay. So I'm back here on the same project, test 1, 2, 3, and I'm tapping here, new report, and I'm cloning the last one, clone. So this is a new report starting from my previous report. So we're actually creating report 3 now, and we see the items of my last report, of report 2. For example, I could say this one is okay, and it will be marked as solved in the report number 3, sorry. Say this one is not okay yet, then I can continue editing it. I can add a new description. For example, I can speak one again. Not yet solved. Almost. So I can continue editing the existing items, but I can also, of course, create new items. Yep, a new item. And this will be item 3.1. Okay, so this is how you clone a report. And then there are some settings, some layout settings, which you can use to mark or illustrate the difference between old and new items or observations within the items. So let's have a quick look at this. So when I'm going to layout, you can manage different layouts. Let's say we're using the default layout for this project, edit. And then here settings. Here you see a list of settings, the font type, font color, font size, the picture size, which contacts to show, want to show the item numbers or not. So there is a list of interesting settings. Do you want to show the photo summary at the bottom of the report? Do you want to show the pictures as squares? And here at the right, we see clone related settings. Which items do you want to highlight, the new ones or the old ones? Which observation, or how do you want to highlight new descriptions within existing items? So I'm cloning a report and I'm adding a new description to an existing item. I can show it in bold, for example, and then people will see this is an item from last visit and it's still there, and here is a new description for this item. I also like this one. It's a creation date for an observation description within an item. Let me show you. So it's like this one. This description for the item leak has been created on this date and time. So those were some layout settings. The next thing I want to show you is the to-do list functionality. So what we did till now was we created a report and then cloned it. But it's also possible to manage a to-do list of items. So it's a different functionality. So it's not mixed with the field reports. It's not that we, for example, add some to-do lists and then create a field report of it. That's not it. That's not the goal. It's possible you can copy item between both, but the goal is it's something different. It's a list of items, and where typically an architect makes a field report, he goes around on the site, takes items or collects items for different subcontractors or different parties involved, and then files a report to everyone. A general contractor is more interested in just logging items, to-do items for the project. So, and that's this to-do list. You don't make a field report in one movement or one inspection round on site. You're on site, you're seeing something, and you're snapping it with your phone or tablet in the to-do list. So here is an example. It has one item. I will add or take my tablet again. So in fact, the project has one to-do list, and when the project is finished, in theory, the to-do list should be empty or everything should be marked as okay. How to access this to-do list with the app? You can tap on the project name, and then here we have the to-do list. I'm going to add one item again. For example, let's take the example of the paint again, something, and then I can assign it, for example, to this one, this contractor. I can again add the pictures, the locations, all the details, just like within the field report. This is exactly the same functionality as the observations table in the field report. As you can see here, we have the categories. You can add items, add them to the floor plans. It's exactly the same. I'm going to sync these two items, or this one item that I just added, to the online account. So here we are, and now there are two items. So this one was already here, and this is the second one. And just like this, you're adding items in the to-do list for this project. And then you can, for example, say, I want to filter out all observations for this assignee with status not okay, search. Then it will give me only those. In this case, it are both the items that are applicable for this contractor. And I can then generate a PDF of the filtered list. Here it is. This is a list containing those items, meeting those filter criteria. And I can also send this filtered list. Here we see there's a filter on this contractor and this status. And I can, for example, now send it only to this contractor, including the plan with the locations. And then this contractor receives a list of only his or her items. So this is the to-do list functionality. And then we also have the all observations table. All observations table is in fact a collection of all items for all projects and for all reports or to-do lists. So it's a collection of all the items in your ArchiSnapper account. And from here you can start filtering. You can, for example, let's take the same assignee. I think it was this one, yes. And let's try to filter all items for this assignee with status not okay, cross project. So I'm not filtering on a specific project. I want it for all the projects in which she's working. Okay, then this is the list. This is the list for this contractor. I can again generate a PDF and distribute it. So a list of all his items. Or, and this is also very useful, I can get a link to share. I can click here on get link to share. And then I can copy the link or tap on the preview button. And this is a link that you can share with this contact, with this contractor, for example. This link will never change. So you just give it to the contractor. He puts it in his favorites and he can always real-time access the relevant items for him. So I filtered on assignee and status. If I now use my app and create a new item with status not okay for this assignee and sync it, it will be here in his list. So once again, the link will never change and it gives a real-time overview of the relevant items for this contact. So this is useful if you want to share, just like you share a Dropbox document with a link, this is how you share a list of items with another third party. And related to this, there's also something like weekly emails, automated weekly reminder emails. So if you go to account settings here, account settings, And then here there is a setting, send assignees weekly email with their not okay observations. You can choose the date, the day of the week and the time, and then automatically every week to the contacts that you select, an email will be triggered with a link forwarding them to their not okay items. So this will give them an automatic reminder of their pending items for the projects they're working on, for which they have not okay items. Okay, there is also one way to go one step further. You can invite contacts to collaborate. So here I'm in my central contacts list, and here we see the list of contacts, and for every contact there is a link, invite to collaborate. If you do that, they will receive an email and they can create a free ArchiSnapper account from which they can view their items, just like I showed you a minute ago, but they can give feedback to the items assigned to them. So let me again take the list for this one with status not okay. So if I would invite this contractor to collaborate, he would get a list like this, and he would be able to mark items as solved, or to add chat notes. For example, he could say this is solved, and he could add a picture here online or with his app, and then you would get a notification and you can react and so on. So this is a way to collaborate with subcontractors, and when they have solved items that you assign to them, they can add the info immediately to the item in ArchiSnapper. Okay. Another thing that I wanted to briefly explain is the tags or the labels. So here we see observation tags, and this is a way to label items, an extra dimension if you want to label items. So I created one tag called urgent, but you can create as many tags as you want with the colors that you want. You can select a color, and then when you're working on an item in a field report or a to-do list, let me show you. You can label those items. Here we go, add tags, urgent, voila. And this will also be displayed in the PDF report, because currently an item has 3 statuses, okay, not applicable. But with this label, you can add an extra illustration or an extra dimension and focus the attention to the important items, for example. Okay. Another useful things is the fact that it's possible to work with multiple or many layouts. So for example, I created a layout punch list for punch list. When I create a punch list report, I can apply this layout, and then, for example, what some of our users are doing in the punch list layout, they add some juridical or some official language. For example, this project has been reported to be substantially complete, and so on and so on, and some terms. For example, if there is no written feedback within the 7 days, this will be approved by all parties. So in a field report, or even the title, you can say punch list report 4. So if you want to change the titles and the standard text blocks, you can do that by making a new layout. And then when you're editing a report, you can change the layout. So this report has a default layout. I can switch to punch list layout, and I can select the text that I want to be copied. And now you see here punch list report, and here you see the official language appearing everywhere. So this is a way to manage the official language that's sometimes needed for the punch list reports. Okay, and as there's one more thing I want to show you from the app. Okay, so when you tap on a project, we have the to-do list, but it's also possible to add internal pictures. So if you're sometimes on your project and you're not working in a to-do list or in a field report, but you're taking pictures, I would recommend taking them here within ArchiSnapper. So let me give you an example. I'm taking one picture, and this picture is now added to my project, because when you're working on construction, you're taking a lot of pictures for many different projects, and after a couple of months you end up with a camera roll that has hundreds or thousands of pictures, and you don't remember which pictures have been taken on which project. So I'm going back here to my online account and to project pictures for this project. And here we see the project that I just took with my tablet. So it's a way of storing the pictures on project level. And if you trigger an export here, more export data, and you enable a connection with your Dropbox Drive or FTP server, automatically all new pictures and also the reports will be exported to Dropbox Drive or your server. So instead of having to drag your pictures to your Dropbox, when you take them on project level with ArchiSnapper, they will be automatically organized per project, and they will be transferred to your Dropbox, Google Drive or server within the correct project. So this is a very useful way or efficient way to deal with construction project pictures. And the last thing that I wanted to mention is it's also possible to to sign off or send reports with the app. So when I tap here on field reports, and then those are the 3 reports for this project, on more, here we see I can sign the report. It's opening, and then, for example, I want a contractor to sign it. You can just sign it and save it, and then ArchiSnapper will store a signed report or a signed version of the report that you can no longer edit. And if you want, you can also send the report from the app. So here, more, send from app, and you can, just like you're doing online, send the report immediately from the app on site or wherever you are. And I think those were the most important topics that I wanted to cover in this webinar. Thanks a lot for joining. One more tip: if you go to the dashboard here in your online account, there are some some guides to help you get started with certain functionalities. You can click on the links to, for example, upload a floor plan or make a checklist-based report, some tutorials that you can follow. And here you have a link to our online documentation with helpbox and videos. And if you have questions, you can always email us at support@archisnapper.com. Thanks a lot, and don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions. Bye-bye.